This is Beyond Perception, where it's all about breaking out of limited perception of life and waking up to our human nature, our true self, and to our connectedness with all life. I am Simon Rilling, and I'm totally excited to speak to Evelien Hölksen today. She's a freedom fighter, a creator, a social activist, a change maker, and totally determined to end sexual exploitation of children. She is the co-founder and CEO of Free a Girl, an international organization dedicated to free underage girls from prostitution. Since 2008, Free a Girl has rescued almost 4,700 children from sexual exploitation. And from what I know, in 2017, Free a Girl founded schools for justice in India and then also Nepal, to not only find the impunity of offenders, to change society, but also to give former victims a future by training them to become legal prosecutors. So far, she raised over 20 million euro to end sexual exploitation of children and initiated multiple campaigns, gaining even support from human rights activists such as the Iraqi Nobel Prize laureate Nadia Murad. For her work, Evelien has received several awards, such as the Mother Teresa Memorial Award for Social Justice. Welcome, Evelien. It's a true pleasure.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
And before we talk about Free Girl and what you are currently doing, I'm really so curious. Have you been always so dedicated and interested in fighting for freedom?
Well, I'm not really sure. And when I look back at my childhood, there was one thing that I was always doing. It was writing letters for prisoners for Amnesty International. That's what I remember. Even when I was a small child, I went also to these gatherings and asked for freedom for different people around the world. So that's my link if I look at my past. But no, it was really for me that I also had to find my purpose, I think, in life. And in early life, I just studied. I have a master in international business. So I was really much focused on becoming rich. And now I know that rich has also a completely different perspective these days. But then I just wanted to earn lots of money and have a career. And so I was. But coming back to your question about freedom. No, I'm not sure. It's the only thing that volunteering for Amnesty International is a direct link to what I'm doing now. In my childhood, I had lots of freedom, so it's not something that has been taken away from me or something like that. So I'm not sure where it comes from. But if people ask me what do you value in life most, I always say my freedom.
And I've seen that you have this tattoo on your arm. Is that right? Where it says freedom fighter, freedom?
Yeah, but it was only temporary.
Ah, okay. That was one of the things I wanted to ask you.
I don't think that my parents would appreciate it. No, it's not. But it was really big.
Yeah. And
yeah. No, it was only for the photo shoot.
Okay. But yeah, from what I understand, freedom is a really big theme for you. What does it mean for you, freedom?
Yeah, I think as for everybody, just that you can make your own decisions and also respect others. But I'm really grateful that I live in a country where I can do that. And also decide what kind of life I want to have, and also be like emotionally free, socially free. Freedom has a lot of perspectives, right? And to decide about your body and relating to the work that I'm doing. So there are yeah, there are many perspectives, I think, in the word freedom, but yeah, I think that I can make my own decisions and decide what's good for me. Yeah, I think that's of a huge value to me.
And from what you just mentioned, you started your career with the motive of being successful, making money. Was
Yeah,
there a moment where your focus shifted, or
yeah, I
what
remember.
changed your perspective?
I always have these kind of moments, and that I really remember, because I really remember the feeling. I was working in a company, and I had huge targets, and I was earning a lot of money, and I had a big car and everything, but I was so extremely unhappy and stressed all the time. Um, and I remember that I walked in the office one day, and I just decided I don't want to do this anymore.
Really?
Yeah, and I quit the same day. Um,
Wow.
yeah, I already knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be of value in life and of value to other people. And I thought, if I'm really good in sales and marketing, maybe I can do it also for an organization that has another mission than making profit. So that's when I started to look at the market of charities and development corporation. And for me, it was more or less clear, or it would be animals or it would be children, one of the two. And it turned out that I started to work for an international organization focusing on child rights. So that was the first step in the profession that I'm having now, and really happy that I got the chance over there. And I went to Asia for 1 year to really learn about development cooperation, about setting up projects with impact, etc., etc. And so I just learned it by doing, I think. Yeah, and I
And
was happy. I really felt that, okay, this is what is meant for me in this world, right? It really felt like homecoming. Yeah.
yeah, and out of, I mean, also personal interest, because I had that same moment last year when I basically, yeah, I gave away my corporate career because I just was so trained and unfulfilled. But then also it was so difficult because I made good money and I didn't know what is waiting for me on the other side. Is there something better? Can I
Yeah.
find something with purpose? And is it possible to be fulfilled? And
Yeah.
what would you say to someone listening to this conversation, maybe still being in that environment you have been or I have been, doubting that there's something else?
Yeah. um, I never doubted for 1 minute. When I make a decision, I'm fully behind it. But it's sometimes also very emotionally driven. But that's okay, because I can just trust my emotions. And you always know if you're in a situation that makes you happy or not. And I also feel that if you really want to do something else, and you just shut a door, another door will open, right? It works that way. And if you are determined to start a new career, I'm 100% sure that people will succeed. So yeah, but for a lot of people, it's very difficult to find their purpose, right?
Mhm.
So I'm really grateful that I found mine. And sometimes people just know, okay, I don't want to do this, and that's a start already, because you just know what you don't want, and then you have to find out what you do want. And that's for every single person, it's different, but it's worth the journey, I think. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, personal realization is that that's really the difference between being unfulfilled, a robot, and really having a human experience.
Yeah. And I always had the feeling that I was just on this planet, on now in this life, for something bigger than just living my life and earning money, right? Just live, but not actually, just exist, but not actually just live the life that is meant for you. And yeah, and that's why I had a lot of jobs when I was in my 20s, because then I was always for 1 year, 2 years maybe, and then just quit and went on to the next one. Always felt unfulfilled, was kind of anxious all the time, Yeah, and then at the age of 29, then I started, working for Plan International, a big international development organization, and making the world for children a better place. So yeah, it's a big opportunity that I was hired there. Yeah, for me.
And then I'm really curious because I had a conversation with Arjan already, which was so mind blowing. Yeah, and like for those listening to this conversation, please check out Arjan Erkel. It's an amazing, incredibly inspiring story. So he's a co-founder with you founding Free Girl. And I'm curious, how and why did you get involved with Free Girl? How did it happen?
Yeah, how did we meet? Yeah. So after I've been working for Plan International for about 5 years, then I realized that for me it would be better just to focus more, because Plan International is actually an organization that's working on in a broader sense for child rights. So that's in lots of countries, and they are doing amazing work. It's about livelihood, health, education, everything, protection of children. And then working there, I found out, and I was really in shock, because I did hear about children, child exploitation, so child prostitution. I don't really like the word prostitution, because it just seems that they are just like they just volunteer to do it, It's but it's really exploitation. And I heard about it, but when I actually understood what it meant, I was really in big shock. I read actually an article about children being kidnapped and put in cages in India, and raped like 20 times a day, for a lot of people were earning a lot of money by doing this, by trafficking in children. And I remember also reading this article, and then I thought, okay, this is. At first, I was really sad. I was really emotional about it, and then I became very angry. And then I thought, why is not the whole world doing something about this? Because a journalist is actually writing about it, so people know it now. And then I also realized, okay, if everybody thinks that way, nothing will change, right? And why can't I be the change? Like just a simple individual, instead of always pointing at other people. So that was for me another kind of wake-up call. Okay, I think that I can be an important part maybe of the fight against it. And the article was written about a small organization, and I just called this guy and I said, okay, I'm going to leave a bigger international organization, and at the same time I also started an own company. So I earned money out of that, and I said, okay, I can just come and help you as a volunteer for two or 3 days a week. And he said, "Oh yes, can we please talk?" And then I started working there, started fundraising, starting writing strategies, helping him out. He was from a small room in his own house, but with a big mission. And I met Arjan there, because he was part of the board of this organization, and that's where we met. So he was also very much impressed by this guy, and we both helped him in his mission. And but at a certain point, we decided that this person was not really capable of continuing this organization. It became too big, and there were some things happening that we could not support, and that was really sad, to be honest, because there were a lot of organizations by the time in India and Nepal who were really dependent on us. And then we decided, okay, what can we do? Maybe we can start our own organization, and then we can also, yeah, incorporate more our ideas and ways of thinking and working, instead of supporting this organization. So yeah, and that it was in 2008, and that's how we started, also with two other people, 3 ago. Yeah. And our mission was, and still is to actually rescue girls, so minors, from a situation of sexual exploitation, and also fight impunity. And we have been doing this for the past 12 years and learned a lot.
Mm.
And yeah, unfortunately, we still exist. If we would not exist, the problem would be over. But it's not that way, and that's sad.
Yeah, and but I can say that preparing for this conversation, I was researching the situation a bit. I was also watching videos on your website, and of course, I knew about the problem. I have heard about it before. I have not researched it in detail, but I was aware that sexual exploitation for children exists. But just seeing or the videos you were producing or reading about the experience, it really touched me. And there was a moment where I was crying, because it almost, I felt it almost brought it really to my attention what that really means, instead of just having a story about it. And anyway, it's not in my direct environment. I cannot influence it. Like it's not really, I shouldn't really care about. And it's almost that the unconscious mind puts it away, and you're not really touched by it. But when I watched those videos, I changed my perspective and also my awareness. And that's also why I love you. Possibly also share a bit of what that really means, and also the bigger picture of, from what I understand, there are millions of children in this situation. And
yeah, it's really, to be honest, it's disgusting, because the children are just used as an instrument, right, for the satisfaction of clients, of adults. And at the other side, there are people who are earning lots and lots of money. So the revenue for a pimp or a trafficker is $100,000 per child, if on an average, like worldwide. And there are 40 million people who are a victim of human trafficking, and half of them are children, and 2 million of them are in sex trade. Yeah, it's awful. Most of the children spend like on an average like 2 years in this situation before they can escape or they are rescued. And for us, it's really important that we can just rescue children at a very early stage, because then the damage that is done, it will be a little bit less, because it's the most horrific, traumatic experience that a human being can experience, right? It's awful. It will continue. You will have like negative effects of it your whole life. And yeah, it takes a lot of rehabilitation and reintegration efforts to be able that a child can become part of society again. Yeah, I think we cannot imagine how painful and how stressful and how dangerous the situation is for these children. I mean, most of them they're kidnapped, or they are just lured into it because the traffickers made some false promises, or yeah, they just they married to a guy. There's a lot of countries that child marriage is still accepted, and they think that they married to uh, to a normal person, but it seemed then that he appeared to be a pimp or a trafficker. And after the marriage, the girl is just sent to a brothel right away. So there are just very different ways of getting the children into this business, and it's quite dangerous, to be honest. It's after drugs. It's a criminal activity that is very lucrative. $150 billion a year is earned with trafficking in human beings. That's a lot, and COVID even made it worse. So that's really worrying, to be honest. Yeah, so it depends on the situation and on the country. So in India, most of the children before COVID, they are mostly girls. They're just put in cages, and the door will only open when there will be a new client. They don't see any daylight, and yeah, and if they don't cooperate, they will be tortured. It's really I'm really afraid. And at a certain point, what they told me is that they just are not part of their body anymore, you know, because they cannot really endure it, what they have to endure, and they just switch off. And when we rescue them, it takes a while before some of them, they don't even speak again, and they don't trust people anymore. It's terrible. It's really a big crime that this is still happening in the world, and it really has to stop, I think. And that's why it's so important to keep on raising awareness about the issue, and that is a worldwide issue. Like I said, in India, it's in the brothel, but for example, in Brazil, it's more in the favelas itself. It's happening in USA, UK, in Holland, just everywhere, you know. And the way that the children are just lured into sexual exploitation is about the same everywhere in the world. They just have a belief that somebody will give them a better future, and then you have a lot of trust in the people who are turned to be criminals. So yeah, it's really sad, and it's not acceptable, I think. And for me, yeah, my mission is just to end it. It should be, and that's why it's so important that we also make sure that perpetrators will be convicted. So it's not only the rescuing part, but it's also the legal part, which is very, very important. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for helping us to get a better understanding, even though it's not really great news, and it might not be comfortable to listen to this, but
no, that it's funny that you say it, because that's also the issue often, that it's such a dark subject that a lot of people just don't want to think about it or talk about it, but by doing so, the problem will not go away, right? We have to talk about it, and we have to make sure that the children are just protected and free and loved, and that justice will be done as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible what you're doing. And from what I understand, you are mainly focused on Bangladesh, Brazil, Laos, India, Nepal, and Thailand. And you are taking care of several issues arising with this topic. And you mentioned briefly before you're rescuing those children. How must we understand that? Are you collaborating with authorities? Do you send in their police teams who are rescuing those, like kind of with force taking those kids out there, or?
Yeah. Our main role has always been like supporting local organizations because I really believe in their strength. They know the culture, they know how to do it, and I've been thinking about this a lot. I don't want to be like the white savior, if you know what I
Hmm.
mean,
Hmm.
bringing all the knowledge and the good from the Western part of the world because it doesn't work that way. It's just that I want to support people who are amazing over there and just they just need like yeah worldwide support in doing and executing, carrying out their mission. So we work with incredible local people, and we also have our own programs. And one of them you already mentioned, it is School for Justice. So we educate survivors to become lawyers and prosecutors themselves. So we empower the survivors, and we started an online program because mainly also due COVID, the problem really changed. So all the red light districts all over the world are, most of them, they are closed. But traffickers and pimps, they still want to make money, right? So what they do is they offer the children, yeah, through internet. So that means that's also on the clear web. So there are also certain Facebook groups or Telegram groups, or it depends, where you can just actually order a child. So it will just be brought to your house or to a hotel, like a delivery service. And children are also put in front of the webcam these days. So they are, so the brothel owners, they just bring them to their very nice houses outside the big cities, and they have to yeah to perform in front of a camera. So for us and for our colleagues in the field, it's very difficult to find the children these days. And I was really shocked to find out that there is hardly any knowledge in Asia about forensic research, about OSINT research. And so that's then we developed like a software program that we also use now in Holland, and it's available for our rescue partners now, and they are trained, and it's really easy these days because we are used to, yeah, to have a conversation like we have. So you can also have a training online, right?
Hmm.
So they are trained by our team in Holland. So they can actually do the research themselves. And after that, the procedures are still the same. If we locate a child or more children, then we will always call the police, and they will always do the rescue operation together with our partners over there. And then the child is taken or to a government shelter or to a shelter that we support. It depends on the country. Yeah, and then the whole journey starts with legal aid, trauma counseling, yeah, providing shelter, love, medical aid, everything, and try to empower the girl and see if yeah, and help her to become part of society again. Yeah, it's
And
often a long journey. Yeah.
I mean, I cannot imagine what they, even though I might know a bit, but what they are going through. Is it possible to come back from these traumas and experiences?
Yeah, it's I was I read an article here in Holland about trauma counseling, and then I contacted all my colleagues in the field because I wanted to learn more about the way that they are actually doing it. It's in different aspects. A lot is about yeah, also like the drama therapy is used, a lot of playing, a lot of sports, a lot of yoga, a lot of meditation. That's really a good thing because it's all in Asia and people are just really comfortable by doing yoga and meditation. It's part of the society, so that really that helps. if if some of the girls are in another condition and they really need like a psychological help, they will get that. And yeah, I don't know how that works. I think that you can actually program your brain, and that's what they also do. I think it's even more over there than maybe here in Holland. I can only speak about Holland, where people go in therapy and they maybe, that's my opinion. Maybe sometimes there's too much emphasis on the past instead of the future. I think that you have to, sure, you have to talk about it. You have to express what happened and get out of the pain. But at a certain point, it was the past, and there's you have now and the future ahead of you. And that's something that in a lot of survivors, there's a certain, they want to talk about it, but at a certain point they don't. And in also a lot of girls actually recently told me that when they have to give another interview, they don't want to talk about their past anymore, and not because they're ashamed maybe, but they don't want to experience the same trauma over and over again, because it doesn't bring them any positivity, right? And they prefer to focus on the now and on the future and on the great things that they're doing now, and the second chance. A lot of them say, okay, I feel that I've been reborn, and there's a lot of positivity coming out of the girls, a lot of happiness as well. Not when they are first rescued, the first 2, 3, 4 months. It's terrible. It's about, yeah, understandable. They're really much traumatized, but if you see them half a year later, yeah, you will be amazed. There's a totally different look in their eyes. It's beautiful to see. Yeah, that's really inspires me.
And one of the things you shared, you founded this school for justice, and I would assume that they will become really driven and motivated prosecutors. And from what I also read is that currently less than 1% of perpetrators get convicted. So when I heard that number, I was like, wow.
Yeah,
There's really a massive
it was also kind of wake up call for me as well, when I found out that first of all that only a small percentage of the girls even report their case. So that's really disturbing. And then when they report their case, then hardly any criminal will be convicted. So they also also think, okay, why should I bother, right? And that's how this whole criminal activity just continues to exist.
If I may ask bluntly, is this because authorities support this system, or?
Yeah, there's a lot of corruption in a lot of countries, but if we look at from the central government perspective, no, I mean, all governments they support the Convention of the Rights of the Child, right? So everything is on paper in order. The only thing is in execution, a lot of things go wrong. It has to do with the status of the target group. So children, and especially girls, they are not really important for a lot of for society as a whole, to be honest. So there are a lot of other things that people have on their mind, and there's also still the belief that the families and the children, they just volunteer to do this. So there's, and that really blew my mind when I found out about that. And that's why I also decided to start an office in Mumbai. To be honest, after one of the seminars of Tony Robbins where I went, that's really where I was talking with Tony a lot about supporting charities and things like that. And at a certain point, he also opened my eyes and give me a really wise lesson. And that change should also come from a country itself, and people should support it over there. And I thought, okay, in India there's more and more middle class, there's a higher class. People are just not aware what's happening in their country, so we have to have campaigns in India as well and start local fundraising, because it's not only about the money, but if you give money, then you find it an issue and a problem, and it will continue if the money will come from other countries, right? It should be supported by local people, and that's why we started in 2017, 2018, Frigo India, and the first campaign was School for Justice, to give actually the survivors a voice, but also an opportunity to change the system themselves, and that's so powerful. And yeah, I'm really proud because the first student, she graduated during COVID, just last month. Yeah, so she's a lawyer now, but she wants to become a judge. So she asked us if we could support her for 2 years more. So we will. Yeah. So that's really that's amazing, and I truly believe in this program, but it has to do with empowering the girls themselves. And in my vision and my mission is to have the School for Justice program in every single country, because first of all, they become the change agents, and they will be part of, they will have like certain jobs that can influence like society a lot. And what you often see is that survivors, they have access to all kind of vocational training possibilities, which is also good. I mean, but before we did the same. Girls, them, if you ask them what would you like to become, they want to become a hairdresser or a tailor, or because they are used to these kind of jobs from where they come from. But if we say, okay, but if you could continue school, what if you can just dream, what would you like to become? And then all kind of other professions they dream about. And then we said, but if we give you the opportunity, and they said, no girl from my class can ever go to university. And then we said, oh, you bet, if we will support you, but you have to, if you think that you're capable to do it, we will support you. And that's just beautiful, because that's actually happened, and there are now 40 girls studying in Nepal and India. And it's not only because sometimes people say, okay, so you give scholarships to survivors, and I say, no, it's much more than that, because all the studies that they do, they have a link to human rights. That's the whole concept of the School for Justice. So we started with lawyers and prosecutors, and now they also can become a police woman, a journalist, a social worker, so everything that has to do with human rights. And at the same time, we train them, we empower them, and some of them, they are strong enough to also give all kind of interviews to media, and that's really important, because then we can spread the message from them, and not from people who did not really experience what they experienced. And also to be able and to say, okay, I should not be ashamed. It's not my fault. And that's the issue. And that's the problem that a lot of survivors cope with everywhere around the world. They always think there's something in me that caused this. And that's why they're really much ashamed. And then the society doesn't help either, especially now in a lot of countries where we work. There's a lot of stigma. And then, they just want to forget about it, live their lives. But now they really feel empowered, and they also say, well, I don't want any other girl to that they should experience what I experienced. And then they say, okay, but then you have to speak up. Then you have to tell what happened, and that's the first thing. But secondly, if you can also have like a job that can actually change the system, then that's even more powerful, right? But the thing, because a little bit contradiction about what I said in the beginning, because often they don't want to focus only on the issue and on the problem, which I understand, but the choice about not speaking about it should come from them and not from society, right? And that's really, they say now, okay, I can, I'm not ashamed, but I don't want to do it so often anymore, which I appreciate and respect a lot, you know. But it should not be that they are ashamed to talk about it. It's just about, yeah, again, just focusing on the issue that it exists, and that they say, okay, I've experienced, I'm a survivor, but also talk about the possible solutions, which makes it even more powerful, I think.
Wow, that's really inspiring. So it's really about changing the system
Yeah.
from different angles. And I would assume that, I mean, the system is as it is. And if you're about to change the system, I assume that there are many challenges or problems or even confrontations, maybe dangerous situations to be overcome.
Yeah.
First of all, I would like, what have been like the biggest challenge so far? And then I'm also really curious to hear where you take your power from and your energy to push through. And
right, but the energy for, I really think from this School for Justice program, from these girls, to be honest, and also that we made like a swift in strategy, that we will always rescue girls, because that's why we started, and it's still so important, because a lot of organizations focus very much on prevention and rehabilitation, but not on the very dangerous part. And if it would be your daughter, there's one thing that you want: she should be taken out of the situation, and no awareness campaign will be helpful for that, you know. So that's what we will continue to do. But I also realized that that we really need to tackle and fight impunity, and I believe that we have a very good program now, and on doing that we should have some it will take a couple of years before, okay, we have now the first lawyer. There should be a couple of lawyers more to really make an impact in a country. But yeah, I still have a lot of objectives. But I also realized that's why we also started an office recently in the US, in New York, to be close to the United Nations, because and what I hope for, and what I really want to do is to see if we can actually make a lawsuit against countries, because if you have, for example, India and Bangladesh, they all signed, like I said, the Convention of the Right of the Child, but they don't protect them. And you can do that as an organization, and one or two girls, they can actually say, okay, I filed my case, nothing happened to it. India government, just tell us, and you can. It's called, and I only know the name in Dutch, but it's called a trial process, I think.
mm-hmm.
And you can just start it against a whole country, against the government. So if we really want to make impact, we should do that, and we have to find a couple of judges who will support us. And I think that that these kind of warnings will be helpful if India has to explain to the United Nations why they don't protect their citizens, the young children, and we can actually say to them, okay, you signed a convention, but you don't implement it. So so that's quite. So I'm really we will start this investigation and research how we can do that with a couple of countries and with a couple of girls. Yeah, to bring it really to a higher level, because I think that's necessary to combat it. We still need to do a lot of work on the ground, but if we want to have a real impact, we should do it on that level as well.
Oh wow! And that's a matter of preparation, or is that also a matter of funds to support such a case? Or
No, it's nothing to do with money. No, it's only to find the holes in the in law. So we have to find out how it actually works. And a couple of organizations with victims on other subjects already did it in the world, but it was about refugees. It was about, but not about victims of child exploitation. We would be the first. But yeah, I'm really serious about it. So in January. Together with actually one of the other co-founders who is a lawyer and has a lot of experience. He's doing some research now how we could do this. We need a good local partner. We need 1 or 2 cases of girls. Now we have many, we have thousands of them that are still waiting, you know. And yeah, and then see what happens. Yeah.
I mean, fingers crossed, and also by sharing this information, that will possibly also contribute in like changing the awareness. And one of the things we talked in the beginning about freedom, and at least from my awareness, what you're sharing about these experiences of those girls and millions of those girls, that's possibly the farthest away you can be from freedom. And when you're just saying nobody has done that before, like initiating a lawsuit or going to court, and that just, I mean, it's very noble and it's amazing that you're doing it and that you're the first, but it's also like just crazy that these crimes have not been brought to greater attention so far. And
yeah, true. It's I don't understand it either, and it's not like the problem is decreasing. It's just it's increasing, and the internet doesn't really help because now people have access always, you know, also pedophiles on dark web and things that are happening there. It's terrible. It's also for us a whole new world, everything that's on the web, to be honest. It's disgusting because people can actually find each other more easily, you know, like the really perverts. And it's I've seen some things now on the clear and also on the dark web. And even also here in Holland, if we report it, hardly anything will be done, because the government also in my country, it's everywhere. They focus really on the big platforms, and not if you are just watching child porn, for example, or share it, and we will find it and we will report it to the police. Hardly anything will be done. So you will just get away with it, you know. And it's everywhere, and it's because there are just millions of cases that the police has, and there's no capacity, you know. So that's really worrying. So that means that, yeah, our children are not really safe, to be honest, because and you can it's important to report it, because everything about perpetrator will be filed, and if there are much more complaints are coming, then maybe an investigation will be started. But it's just too much. It's just too much. So what the law enforcement agencies are doing is really focusing on the big platforms and big groups who are behind it, and yeah, that's terrible.
what do you think? What's, if that's even there, I don't know. What's the origin of this desire? Is that something each human carries in themselves, and it might be triggered? Is it
Yeah.
a tendency of psychopaths? Is it if you're experienced violation yourself or exploitation, you then get passed it on? And like what is
Yeah.
your thoughts on this or experience?
Yeah. To be honest, before when not everything went so much online, we were more focusing on the offline issue, right? So those are just the brothel areas in lots of countries where we actually just free the girls. We rescue them, and the clients, they are no they are not pedophiles. They are just looking for sex. But the trade in children is much more easy than trade in women, because women will be speak out for themselves. It's difficult to lie to them when you get older. When you're a child, you're so innocent, so it's more easy to traffic children. So children will be offered, but the client is not looking especially for a child. Sometimes when he has so terrible HIV/AIDS, they think that having sex with a child they will get rid of their diseases. It's really a strange belief. So, but most of the time they're just looking for sex, right? So they don't care how old the person is. If she's 18, 20, 14, 12, they don't really care. So it's not that they look especially for children, and especially, for example, in Bangladesh, the girls have to take hormones to look older. When they are 11 or 12, they look like older, and because the
Oh,
men are not like attracted to very young children. So those are not the pedophiles. But now we are working more and more on the web. We also, yeah, it's um, it's very clear that you will also find child porn then, and those are really different people, right? To my opinion, yeah, they are sick. And it's and the sick thing is that they will actually find each other in those fora and platforms, and they just chat with each other. It's and before, when you were this way, it was very difficult to find like-minded people like you before the internet was there. And now you can actually just share all those disgusting things with other people, and then they tend to think it's normal. So that's kind of worrying, to be honest, because when you are with like-minded people, at a certain point you think that this is just normal behavior. And if I read their conversations, yeah, it's incredible. It gets so disgusted and angry and everything. It's they are sick. They are really sick. Yeah.
and how do you manage to, I mean, to, like, from talking to you, you seem like very much passionate, driven, like being alive, present, and you're also emitting very, very much positivity. And how do you manage to, I don't know, keep this away? Or you also mentioned that you have a family, and like this darkness, like how do you deal with that on a personal
Yeah.
situation?
I think by not becoming part of this darkness.
Mhm.
So sometimes people say to me, I could not do the work that you do because I'm too emotional. Then I think, okay, I think that I'm quite emotional as well. But I don't choose to cry with the survivors or the victims, because I don't help them that way. If I go with them in their pain will become bigger. I choose to be different. So I choose to be part of the solution and to be light and positivity and energy. And I truly believe that the good will always prevail, always. And what I found out about the past 12 years, and also about myself and my work, is that you can actually um, how should I put this, achieve a lot as an individual, by spreading positive energy and by trying to be, yeah, the light is so heavy. I don't mean that way, but that you can actually, that this energy of positivity is so much bigger than the whole dark side of sexual exploitation. And I believe that by your thoughts only, thoughts turn into things, and you will attract a lot of same minded people. And in this way, you can accomplish a lot more than being negative. And so I try to be positive and it's not something that I have to do. I'm just like that. It goes automatically. So that's and it's not that I don't. Sometimes I feel the pain, and that's good. It's not when I talk to girls, or also when I look at some of the videos, and but then I also know how to change this pain into something more powerful, more helpful, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I truly believe in the power of human beings, and even if they, yeah, and also, like you said when at the beginning of our conversation, is what do you want to give to people who also want to do something else in their career? Is that you can do so much as an individual, you know. Sometimes always people think that you have to have a certain position in society or have a lot of people around you or to be famous, but that's not true. That's really not true. It's just beautiful just to know that your power as an individual person and it can be so big if you just believe in yourself and everything that you can achieve. As it doesn't matter where you come from. And that's really great to know, to be honest, because then you don't actually always need other people to accomplish things, that you can also do it yourself. And by doing so, you will automatically attract people. It works that way. So if you have a very good idea, just go for it. The how will just come, you know, just go for it.
That's a wonderful message. And we've talked quite a bit about the darkness and difficulties and traumatic experiences. And if we compare that to what we are, like in a normal life here in the Western world, are experiencing, it's on complete other level. How did your perspective on life change over those years? If you look back, what are the biggest lessons, if you want to call it that way?
Yeah, sometimes maybe it's difficult to relate to people because then you think, okay, are these really issues? You know, that's true. And then, so sometimes for me, it's very difficult to just function in a group of people because with my friends, it goes okay, but not too much about chit-chatting and about making a lot of big things out of nothing, you know. Then I think, okay, maybe you should just visit sometimes some other people in other countries before you know what's yeah. And also in these times, I mean, in those COVID-19 times, we also have a lockdown here in Holland, but yeah, people have really issues with it. Yeah, I can just accommodate very easily because then I think, okay, is this my biggest sacrifice in life? You know, no. I've seen so much worse. But I'm not sure if that's the biggest lesson. I saw a lot of my children were asking yesterday to me what was the most dangerous situation you experienced for free girl, and it was my most dangerous experience, but at the same time my most beautiful experience. It was in a favela in Brazil. I always start to cry when I talk about it, and it was really a bad place because in the favelas, a lot of favelas people are addicted to crack, and if you're addicted to crack, then people lose completely their minds. It's terrible, and it's a drug that you know that you will die from, and it's so the criminals who are working in these slums, in these favelas, they sell the drugs, but they also trade in children, and in just a lot of prostitution. There's a lot of trade in drugs, in weapons, everything. It's that's you don't see in Asia. In Asia, it's different. It's like the child exploitation is on itself. It's not combined with weapons or drugs. But you have these terrible places in Brazil where parents are addicted. They just sell their children because they need the money for drugs. And I was in this place, and it's really dangerous over there, because often the police comes, and then you have the criminals, and they will just shoot, and if you stand there, then you're really sorry, but you can actually lose your life. So you are just looking for danger all the time. You can also sense it walking there. And I'm not sure why. Oh, yeah, I just wanted to visit one of the girls who lived there, and I went with our partner organization, and those are all nuns, and they are respected by the police, but also by the criminals. So, and the upper nun, she always calls, and then she has to call prison, because they're the biggest mafia guy is, and then she says, okay, I've got a visitor from Holland, and can she go in this favela? And then he says, okay, it's all right, and you will make sure that I'm safe, that she's safe. And so I walked there, and I went in that was quite a dangerous feeling, to be honest. But then I entered the house, and there were all people addicted to drugs. There were children walking there, women, men, hardly wearing any clothes, and they looked so unhealthy. And I just wanted to get out of there because it was too much to handle. And then I went out, and a man came to me, and I don't speak Portuguese, and I did not know what he was talking about. And I was a little bit irritated, because I thought, never think for another person. I thought that he wanted something from me, like money, or that he was. And then my colleague said, okay, shall I translate it for you? And I said, no, I think that I know what he wants, but if I give it to him, he will buy drugs from it. So let him. And then she said, no, he wants really to say something to you. And I said, okay, nothing to do. He doesn't want anything from you. I said, okay, I'm sorry. So I just looked in his eyes, and he said to me, thank you for being here, and thank you for your tears, because for months I just feel like you see me as a human being. And then I thought, okay. And yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing this with me, with everybody listening to this. And
it was, so what I also learned is that you should always respect like people and never judge him. You don't know what this guy went through, and it's just terrible that you have to live such a life. It's and sometimes I think about it when people are complaining. I think, okay, you must be so grateful for the things that you are having. Try to just focus on positive things. instead of always looking for negative or bad things or bad intentions, because it will lead you to nothing, you know. Yeah, let's just be grateful for the things that we are having. And even people in very poor circumstances sometimes are even happier than we are, to be honest. With nothing, you know, just enjoying life and be grateful for small things. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Evelien.
Yeah.
I
Thank you.
I yeah, really enjoyed this conversation, and
Me too.
I have the feeling
I
we
want
could
to give
go.
you a hug now.
Yes, okay, like this. Yeah, I, I would love to continue talking to you, but I also want to be respectful of your time. And if there's something else you want to share with everybody listening to this, or present a project, or ask for something, please go ahead.
No, I just want to thank you for really listening to my story, and yeah, and also again to give the issue like more to give awareness to the issue, because that's always important. Yeah, I'm just grateful for this opportunity, and thank you so much. I love the conversation.
Yeah, it has been really insightful. Not everything was positive, but the negative can be transformed into the positive. And thank you for educating us and raising awareness. And I will add all the resources about you, about Free Girl, to the show notes of this episode, so that everybody listening to this can research you, contact you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Learn more. And yeah, really thank you for who you are and taking the time to be here and sharing your story and experience and wisdom with us. And
keep in touch.
Yeah,
see you in real life soon.
Thank you very much, Evelien. Yeah, thank you for the conversation.
Bye.